What's up, everyone? Here we are again, all 49ers. I'm Grant Cohn, Leo Luna with a little echo in the background, smiling, looking good, leaning in from the side because his aux cord isn't long enough, but he's gonna play it off, and he's got a really nice shirt on. To his right is Maverick Pallack, who has a very nice backdrop of, I would say that's the Bay Bridge, but it could also be the Golden Gate Bridge, and above him is Jack Hammer. Who needs no introduction. I mean, that's Jack freaking Hammer, and I'm Grant Cohn. We're going to talk about 10 topics today. We're going to start with the running back rotation because everyone wants to talk about JaMycal Hasty. All you got to do is say JaMycal Hasty, and you get 100,000 views on your article. So, Jack, should the Niners just give JaMycal Hasty 30 carries against the Patriots, or should there be a rotation? How would you split up the carries, and who would you start if you were the head coach of the 49ers this Sunday?
If I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm starting Jerick McKinnon. McKinnon's going to be my starter. He's the all-around back. He has the ability to he's a decent running back, and also he's much better in pass protection. So if I was looking at this one, the main thing here really isn't between McKinnon and Hasty. It's between Hasty and Wilson, with the way that Kyle Shanahan will generally use his running backs. So it should be McKinnon should get somewhere in the ballpark of about 9 to 10 carries. If we look at their snaps overall, I think they're going to be pretty balanced between McKinnon and Hasty. I'd say probably 10 about 10 carries for McKinnon, and then you're going to see Hasty with about 10 to 14, and then a couple left over for Wilson. That's the way that I would expect to see this play out.
Sounds good.
I think you got to start with McKinnon just because the veteran usually draws the start, at least in Shanahan's offense. But last week, Denver had some success with Philip Lindsay, an undrafted free agent a couple years ago, and who's another 5'8" undrafted free agent that the Patriots could be facing this week is JaMycal Hasty. So you could see some success right there. I would go with McKinnon at the start, and then once he kind of breaks in the defense, that's when you go with Hasty, a more rested guy. We haven't seen a lot of explosiveness out of McKinnon on non-third and longs this year, and I think that's a way Hasty can have success. But I'd go a 50-50 split.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the Mostert rule. The guy who gets the most carries is the guy who's determined the starter. And I'm going to say that has to be Hasty because McKinnon has got the bulk of the carries 2 different occasions this season. And in those 2 different occasions combined, he averaged less than 3 yards per carry. That's enough sample size I need. So I'm not going to have McKinnon be my bell cow essentially during this game. I'm going to feed the ball to Hasty. I would love to say about 20 times from what I've seen, and then from your film breakdown, Grant. If anyone hasn't seen it, go ahead and check his YouTube channel for that. I love those jump cuts that you established there. And so with Hasty, he's got to be the guy, but because he hasn't really played much, limited off season, I'm not going to give him 20 carries. So I would set it back probably at about 14 carries this game. That's what I would do.
Okay. You guys all have very reasonable, thought out answers. I'm going to say start Hasty. Forget it. I'm getting real hasty about it. I say start him. And I understand McKinnon's the vet. Hasty apparently had fumbling issues in college. He has a very small sample size. And do you really trust him in New England? Thing is, I think Hasty brings out the best in Kyle Shanahan. Maybe it's too small. It's too early to say that. But we've talked about this offense having an identity. And we saw it without Mostert for a couple of weeks with McKinnon in the starting lineup. And I felt like Shanahan got away from the identity real fast. What makes McKinnon useful is his ability, like from the shotgun in third down as a receiver. And when he's on the field in first down, I feel like Shanahan, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe the numbers say I'm wrong, but it feels like he gets a little pass happy or he panics. He just gives up on the run game a little quicker than he would if he had Mostert or Breida. And I think that Hasty has a lot of that Breida in him where he can get the outside zone run. He can actually run between the tackles surprisingly well for a little guy, and he runs hard. So I think that Hasty gives Shanahan a better chance to stick to the script than if he goes to McKinnon and starts, I don't know. I'm just really trying to disagree with you guys here. I want to see Hasty.
What you're saying makes sense because Shanahan has a tendency where if his running game isn't gaining 5-6 yards a pop, that's when he gets away from it. It's not that McKinnon's not doing well because in his starts he's averaged I think about 3.8 against the Jets and the Giants. Those were his big carry games. So I think that's what happens with Shanahan. He wants to see the big play.
No doubt.
Yep. And the one thing that I'll say too, is the one play that you showed today, Grant, on your breakdown where you got the toss to the right and the cutback. That's the same exact play that McKinnon broke against the Jets. It's the same exact formation, same exact play.
Interesting. That was like 3rd and 27, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. He just needs to be given more opportunities on stuff like that, not necessarily running in between the tackles because he's not that guy.
Yeah, interesting. I like McKinnon. I think he runs super hard. It's just I think that like on that run, he didn't get to 5th gear, and he should have pulled away. I think Hasty probably could have taken that one to the house, but honestly, he'll take a 55-yard run. It's still pretty good. Yep. It's not bad.
So
what?
In the 2 games that McKinnon started combined is actually 3.29 per carry.
Yeah, I just feel like with McKinnon, he's just so perfect for a 3rd down role that I'd like to keep him in that. And I know it sounds crazy, like, do you want to start an undrafted rookie under him? Well, I know what McKinnon is, and I know he's so perfect and comfortable in that 3rd down role. I don't really like Shanahan's play calling tendencies when he has to start McKinnon, but I don't know what Shanahan's play calling tendencies would be if he started Hasty. It's interesting, but if I were Shanahan, I know it sounds easy to say, start Hasty, and then he fumbles in the 3rd carry. You're like, ooh, my bad. I should have been more conservative on that one. Sorry, guys. So I understand the argument against it, but it's not my team, so I'm going for it.
Hopefully he doesn't leave the football on the ground like McKinnon did.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest play.
That was the weirdest play of all time. It was pretty funny, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Who needs to have a big game against the Patriots defense? Who on the Niners offense needs to have a big game against the Patriots for the Niners to win this game? And I say this because the old truism about Bill Belichick that he's going to do everything in his possible to take away your 2 strengths on offense. And the Niners' 2 strengths on offense are their run game and George Kittle. So, I mean, Kittle's still going to play. They're still going to run the ball. But who else needs to step up for the Niners to win this game?
It's got to be the undrafted rookie. We were just talking about him, and it's got to be Hasty because I don't expect McKinnon to go run the ball 4 yards per carry against this Patriots defense, and he's probably going to get the start. So then Shanahan's going to lean on Hasty at that point, and if Hasty doesn't get it going, Kyle Shanahan, that what Jack alludes to, he's going to just not run the ball anymore, and he's going to put the game in Jimmy's hands. And to try to beat Jimmy, to beat Bill Belichick, that's going to be really difficult. So I believe Hasty's got to have a big game against this defense. And when I say big game, I'm saying probably just give me 4.2 yards per carry. You don't have to do the whole Mostert's 5 yards, 6 yards average. Just give me 4.2, and I think that'll be good enough to get this offensive flowing against New England.
I'll go with Trent Williams just because I think if he's healthy enough to go, I think that could be a little bit of an issue. But Chase Vinovich has 2.5 sacks and 6 QB hits. Shalik Calhoun has 2 sacks and I think 2 forced fumbles this year. We saw how good Garoppolo looked when he was not faced with pressure, and then we saw him miss that Kyle Juszczyk wide open play when he was faced with pressure. And I think that's going to be a big issue is the Patriots are going to get in Garoppolo's face, and if Trent Williams can give him 0.3 more seconds of time, that could be the difference of a Juszczyk 40-yard catch or an incompletion.
That was a really good answer. I wasn't thinking about that at all. Good one, Maverick. Yep. What about you, Jack?
That's good. I'm going to go with the one I think is probably the most one that everybody's probably thinking. That's Garoppolo. Garoppolo has got to play good this week. They're not going to get away with what they got away with last week when it comes to just the handoffs to Samuel and the little swing passes that he's going to have to be able to make throws down the field this week. He's going to have to be able to I'm not even saying downfield like deep throws. Just he's got to be able to complete some passes past the line of scrimmage.
Yes. Yes.
Last week he was I think about 58% on those. So if right now that's with him going against Belichick's going to really he's going to look at what they did against Miami. He's going to double Kittle, and he's going to just his corners and safeties are going to play a little deep, probably about 5 to 10 yards, and he's going to say, "Hey, get it past us."
Yeah,
we're going to let's see you be consistent and drive the ball down the field on us.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys all had really good answers. I'm going to name like multiple people because there's so many people that need to step up. First of all, Mike McGlinchey. Dude, you need to have 2 good games in a row because you're going to get a whole lot of Chase Winovich. Once Trent Williams shows that he's healthy and he can be in the game, they're coming after McGlinchey. Second, Hronis Grasu. He's the weak link on the offense. He needs to be acceptable. And it seemed like what happened against the Dolphins is the Dolphins use lots of different fronts. One time it'll be a 6-1 front. One time it'll be a bear front with 5 guys on the line of scrimmage and both guards covered in the center. They vary it. And so what needs to happen is the center has to get to the line of scrimmage and assign blocking assignments. You take him, the Mike's this guy. And particularly in pass protection, they were getting it wrong, and there were a lot of free rushers, guys that weren't getting blocked. Trent Williams and Laken Tomlinson going to block the same guy and no one blocking a lot of that stuff. So Grasu's going to have to be on point with that stuff because Bill Belichick's going to really make it tough for him. That's 2 guys. And then, so those are 2 guys that have to play well, Grasu and McGlinchey. And then 2 guys, if a couple of guys who could step up and really help the Niners would be Kyle Juszczyk. I mean, it's not that he hasn't played well. It's just, to me, he doesn't get enough opportunities at all. He's like a 1 or 2 touch a game guy when he should be 4, 5, 6. I don't get that. And then also Ross Dwelley. I mean, he's catching 100% of his targets this year. He looked good against the Giants. He has no more opportunities. They're not going to have matchup advantages at wide receiver. I mean, Ayuk and Debo are going to have trouble against Stephon Gilmore and what's his face?
J.C. Jackson?
No, McCourty or J.C. Whoever it is. They have great corners on this team. And if the Niners try to force it to their young wide receivers, they're going to be in trouble. But the tight ends have matchup advantages. McKinnon has a matchup advantage in the pass game. Any one of these supplementary players at tight end and running back, if they could step up and get like a feature role in the pass game, I think they could have a big game too. So that would be the cherry on top. But Grasu and McGlinchey really got to play well.
Yeah. And taking that another step further with Grasu, it really, if you go back and you watch what the Dolphins did, it was a lot of twist up front where they're bringing a linebacker from like the offense's left side across the center's face to the other side. And they just could not pick it up almost all game long, whether it was a pass or a run. So that's really going to be on Brunskill and Grasu to get that done.
Right. And that was Garland in that game. So maybe Grasu will be a step up, although probably not. Okay, let's move on to the other side. The Niners are going to the defense they have to have an answer for a couple of guys. Julian Edelman and Cam Newton. We're going to get to Edelman in a minute, but let's start with Cam Newton. If you were Robert Saleh, what would your principles be? What would your game plan be? What would your strategy be for stopping Cam? Who starts?
I'll go ahead and start.
Sure.
Thinking about this one a little bit. If I was going against Newton this week, I'm not going to be doing anything fancy with my front. I'm going to really try to keep my guys in their passing lanes.
Agree.
And force him to stay in the pocket.
Yeah.
And just play defense behind it. Because I think if they can do that and be able to still stop the running game with Newton, they're going to be okay. Because that's what really is concerning with Newton is his ability to be a power runner.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Okay.
I think the best way to combat Newton is just have Dre Greenlaw in there more. If Quan Alexander is able to go, Greenlaw needs to be that second linebacker, hands down. I think Greenlaw plays the read a little bit better, but also Cam is a very good scrambler. He has 7 scrambles of over 12 yards this year when he was dropping back to pass. That's a big way to extend the drive. They need at least Greenlaw within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage on every pass play on zone defense just to combat that. They can't let Cam get into space like Jack said, because that's how the Patriots will win.
Yeah. Check out the stats on Maverick. That was a good stat. I like that stat. Came loaded into the fight. What's up, Leo?
Well, how do I compete with that?
You got to have stats ready if you want to compete with Maverick. Stepping the bar up for everyone.
Got it.
All right. What's up?
So the reason why we praise Greenlaw so much is because his sure tackling as well as his tackling angles. And I think the angles is what's going to be key with spying on Cam Newton. Normally, I would say Marcel Harris because this New England Patriots receiving core is just so weak that, sure, yeah, I'll rather have the safety, and I'm comfortable keeping Greenlaw in coverage. But I don't trust Marcel Harris tackling as well as his angles. Greenlaw is kind of a sure thing, so I'm going to go ahead and keep Fred Warner, who's clearly the better coverage linebacker. With Cam Newton's inaccuracy, I think that bodes well to possibly get an interception because they do like running their offense through the middle. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be Greenlaw. You have to spy Cam Newton with Greenlaw.
Okay. You guys, look, I'm going to talk about a quarterback spy in a minute. But I was watching the Patriots all week, and what's interesting about them is they don't want to throw. from what I see, they want to run the ball as much as possible. And their number one runner is Cam. Like, he will lead them in carries in this game on Sunday. So that's very unique. And in that sense, they're kind of like the Ravens. Although I think the Ravens actually would be more – I think the Patriots would want to throw even less than the Ravens. I mean, the Patriots, if they could run the ball 50 times, would be happy to do it. So the Niners have to have a plan to stop an 11-on-11 run game. They kind of have to ditch the wide nine. Like, it's not built for this. They need to come in with the same scheme they had against Baltimore last year. 5 across the front, assignment football, everyone ready to stop the run, first and foremost. If they can do, and they did a good job against that, of doing that against the Ravens, so they've been prepared. If they can take care of that and be respectable against this Patriots run game, which I think is just fantastic. It has everything. And force the Patriots to pass, then they just need to, which you talk about all the time, keep Cam in the pocket. They have to. And what I saw from Cam, he likes to throw, but he doesn't have that many weapons. He has Julian Edelman, and that's about it. So on this team, on third down, it almost like his first read is the tackles and the ends. If he sees either defensive end get past him, he's out. He's taking that B gap and he's going. So there's two things you could do. You could contain him and make him pass, and I think that works because he's so inaccurate that if you get him in a quarterback pocket passing contest with Jimmy Garoppolo, the Niners win. But also to switch it up, you can like give him the B gap and then have Fred Warner spying him and sort of like bait him into running out and then have Fred Warner go get him. Because to me, Fred Warner isn't fast enough to spy Kyler Murray or even Lamar Jackson, but he is fast enough to spy Cam Newton. I think he could kick Cam Newton's ass. So I want to see that. And I think I was just watching, like, if you watch Cam Newton drop back on third down, if Julian Edelman isn't there, he's bolting through the B gap. Give it to him and let Fred Warner hit him a few times, and we'll see how daring he is the rest of the game. That's the way I see it. But I'm not a coach. But I should be. Niners still owe me a nickel for all the good ideas I've given him. Hasn't gotten here. I don't understand that. Anyway, I mean, we can leave a tip right here. It's so easy. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Let's get to Edelman. What is the strategy against Edelman? How would you handle Edelman knowing damn well he's getting the ball on third and whatever?
You're just going to have to trust your zone coverage, and I think it works well against a quarterback like Cam Newton.
Spoken like Jamar Taylor's best friend. Just kidding. Keep going.
You already know.
So
it's the zone coverage because Cam Newton, he could read the zones. That's understood. But is he accurate in the zones? He's not. And that's why you see such a big drop-off in this Patriots offense between Tom Brady and Cam Newton's because Tom Brady's insanely inaccurate in between the windows.
Wait. Did you just call him Cam Newton's? Maybe. I love that. Oh, you didn't even do it on purpose. Keep going.
No, it just slipped. I see too many of your tweets that it came out.
Keep going.
Rather than Cam Newton's, he's going to be a little late. So trust your zone because if he is late, well, now you have either your nickel corner or your middle linebacker picking that off or at least deflecting that pass away. The last thing you want to do, yes, he looks like a 40-year-old man out there, but you still do not want to guard Edelman's one-on-one in man coverage. Don't do it.
That gets me every time. Maverick.
Well, Edelman is having he has 60.4 yards per game, which is his lowest since 2012. He has 55.6% catch rate. That's not great. Nope. If you take out the Seattle game, I think his high on the season is like 45 yards, 50 yards. That's not that good, but he also has been hurt, and Jamar Taylor does pose a great matchup for Julian Edelman. I would expect them to try and give him the ball, but I think James White is a much more important person to stop in this game that might age poorly if Edelman goes off against Taylor. But I think James White is the guy they got to stop first.
Hey, real quick, Maverick, with all your stats, because you're bringing the A game and I want to match you. Real quick, Edelman is having a down year, but 17 first downs on 20 catches. So he's still.
How many of those were against Seattle, though?
I don't know. Dang, I was so proud I had a stat, and then you just, okay, you're right. All right, okay, you're right.
No, I just think the Seattle defense is very susceptible to big gains, at least this year. They're not the Seattle defense everyone's used to. So Edelman is definitely a first down weapon, and that's someone they got to stop. But I think first and second down is obviously where any team has to win first down, and I think that's where James White comes into play.
I feel that, but whoever Seattle's nickelback is better than Jamar Taylor. I don't even know who it is. Jack, what's the strategy here, Jack? What are we doing?
Whoa! Settle down there.
He was on the couch.
I think they're going to have to double him. I think they're going to have to bracket him between Taylor and either the linebacker or safety to keep him in check. They might start the game off without doing that just to kind of see how it goes. But then we'll see a move to that if he's burning them.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be. If I were Robert Saleh, I would come in here with like 4 different things I would try. You got to have some type of double coverage thing that you do on third down because the ball's not going anywhere else. It's going to be a scramble or a pass to Edelman. And then if you don't want to do that every time, if you want to be free to have some blitzes and use your personnel other ways, I just would never, ever, ever, ever use Jamar Taylor one-on-one, man-to-man against Julian Edelman. I'm sorry. Maybe he can do it. Maybe he'd get away with it. I wouldn't mess with it. I wouldn't even put Jamar Taylor in that situation. I like the way Jamar Taylor blitzes. I think he's good at that. But man-to-man against Julian Edelman, you're asking for it. I don't even know if K1 can do that. So what I would do is I would try Jimmy Ward. I know it sounds kind of stupid because he struggles, but the way I see from Jimmy Ward is that he's actually good in coverage until he has to run downfield and locate the ball. Then he's hopeless. But when he's covering like little jerk routes and choice routes and dodge routes, he's a hell of an athlete, and he's just as athletic as Julian Edelman. I think he would actually match up decently. That would be one thing I tried. And if that doesn't work, and if bracketing doesn't work, then you lose. So one of those two things has to work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Dante Pettis. This has nothing to do with the game this weekend. It's a big picture Niners topic, but it's interesting because this dude is so far in Shanahan's doghouse. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. He's getting deactivated every week, and they're bringing up guys like Kevin White. It's like, wow, okay. So my question is, not knowing what's been said or done behind closed doors in practice and meetings, do you think Dante Pettis really deserves this treatment? Because it seems unusually harsh from Kyle Shanahan.
I think it's pretty clear that Shanahan hates cats. I think that's
he's biased.
Yeah. No, there's no reason to with Pettis. I mean, Taylor's not. It's not like he's a game changer in any way, shape, or form. If you're going to play a fourth wide receiver, you might as well throw him out there. If you're going to put a fourth receiver out there, otherwise, the Niners really their strength is going 21 and 12 personnel. If they're going to have 3 guys out there. So, I don't know what the deal is with Pettis.
Yeah.
I've always been a Pettis believer. I think that's because I went to Oregon and he torched Oregon for a couple of years. So I think I just was predisposed to him being good. But I don't understand what's happening. The only thing I can really imagine is they're worried if they outright cut him, Seattle's just going to claim him right away and bring him back to Seattle. But
wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and that probably will happen. I saw Seattle's looking at Antonio Brown, so they're obviously looking for some type of receivers. But having Pettis,
great fit with the Seahawks, by the way. Keep going.
Yeah, well, I mean, he would replace what Josh Gordon was supposed to be for them last year. But anyways, having Pettis just on the roster, I don't really understand it at this point. I think it's kind of mean to him. I think Pettis is talented, but let him go be somewhere where he can play. Otherwise, it's just keeping there. If he's there as depth, he's not really there as depth because when guys went down, when Debo was hurt, when Ayuk was down, Pettis still wasn't getting looks. So how much depth is he there for?
Real quick, you rushed through a very good answer. You didn't rush, but you said something midway that I think was the key word. It's just mean. It's just mean. Like, if you don't want him, let him go. If you do want him, give him a chance. What they're doing to him is quite – but maybe Leo sees it differently. What's up, Leo?
That you either got to let him go or play him, just like everybody else is saying. Mm-hmm. Because, like, how many game-winning touchdowns has Trent Taylor caught? Dante Pettis got one last year against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, and he actually saved Jimmy Garoppolo by coming back for that ball and snagging it for the touchdown. If he lets that come to his chest, well, guess what? Dante would be unreal. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that statement 100%.
Yeah.
And if you let that ball, if Dante Pettis lets that ball come to his chest, that's probably a deflection or an interception. But even with Nick Mullins, we understand Jimmy Garoppolo does not like Dante Pettis. That is clear from what we've seen week 1. Gave him 1 target. When Nick Mullins was in that quarterback, why did you not play Dante Pettis? They lit it up together during Dante's rookie year, but instead you just keep him on the bench. I don't understand that. You either got to let him go, because I don't know if you're trying to send a message to the rest of your team, but this is the NFL. This is not high school football. Let him go or play the guy.
Yeah, I just don't get it, because it's like, if he were on the Patriots and the Patriots decided that he just was no good, they'd get rid of him that day. They'd like have a meeting like, hey, is Dante Pettis kind of weak? They'd be like, yeah. Like, all right, let's cut him right now. The Niners are like 2 years in, like, well, we don't know really what we should do about him. And I agree that if they were to cut him and he were to like sign with the Seahawks, he'd be a terrific fit on that team. It just seems like you look at how Shanahan has had this patience for like let's go through it. CJ Beathard, unconditional patience. Kendrick Bourne. I mean, Kendrick Bourne's a good player, but he's had to work through a lot of drops. He's had a lot of tough times with the Niners, and Shanahan's always like, I love him. He has great hands. He's like my son. I believe in him. I mean, unwavering support of Kendrick Bourne, the undrafted free agent. Trent Taylor. Honestly, Trent Taylor hasn't been good in 3 years. And never says a bad thing about him. Always gives him opportunities, gives him playing time. Akello Witherspoon got his starting job back 800 times last year, despite losing it 799 times or 801 times. So you've seen example after example, but with Dante Pettis, it's like he's dead to Kyle. And I don't get it, because Dante's had good games in the NFL. Dante showed things. He had an impressive rookie year for a wide receiver. He has one bad camp, one bad season, and he's dead to this team. But he also can't be given a free start anywhere else. I think it's highly unusual. And what Maverick said, it's borderline or maybe even beyond the borderline of mean. And I almost feel guilty, because Shanahan basically gives open season to make fun of Dante. He's not backing Dante up, and it's basically understood. Hey, you can say whatever you want. And I've been taking that cue for a long time and just eviscerating him when, you know what, maybe he doesn't deserve it. He's a young wide receiver. Give him a chance somewhere else. Dante, I promise I'm not going to make fun of you and your denim jacket anymore. I promise. Okay.
Real quick. A lot of people want to mention work ethic when it comes to Dante Pettis.
We don't know.
I'm not in that weight room. You're not in that weight room. I don't know how much time he spends on his tablet. None of us knows. So I'm going to just throw that out the window.
I wouldn't presume to guess either.
Yeah.
I wouldn't presume to guess. All right. We mentioned this dude, but real quick, does Trent, and look, don't let my opinion color yours. Does Trent Taylor deserve playing time? Is there something I'm not seeing here? Because Kyle Shanahan clearly feels he does deserve playing time, and Shanahan's a very smart coach. Leo.
No, he doesn't. Like, what is he going to block for you on the outside?
No.
Who is Trent Taylor going to block and keep out of the play? He's done it before, but at what, like a 10% rate, 20% rate? That's not successful. That's not winning football. Is it because he's George Kittle's buddy you're going to throw out Trent Taylor? Like, come on, it didn't work out. He's been given way more chances than Dante Pettis. He's had injuries issues. So, like, let's see somebody else for a change. I would love to see Juwan Jennings out there activated instead of Trent Taylor, because I'll tell you what, Jennings could block a hell of a lot better than Taylor, and that's what this 49ers offense need more than a little guy who's going to get pushed around on a 5-yard route.
All I think about is how Trent Taylor was being used in that Arizona game. How many times what was it, that 4th down or 3rd down where the throw was behind him and he had to jump for it? What Leo said. Is Juwan Jennings going to catch that ball? Possibly. Is Trent Taylor going to catch that ball? Definitely not. Like, there's a for sure thing. Trent Taylor's just smaller, and a DB, when the DB is bigger, you can't really throw a jump ball to him. And I think that's a big issue with Trent Taylor. He has some value on 3rd downs going across the middle, but I just would rather see Juwan Jennings get those routes. I'd rather see Richie James because he's faster and more athletic, in my opinion. He might drop the ball a little more, but I'd rather see those guys when you can create more things. Kendrick Bourne is the guy on the inside that's a little slower, but is a good route runner and will get you that 1st down. In my opinion, Trent Taylor provides nothing different than what Kendrick Bourne does.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I don't see the deal with Taylor either. I don't see him as the playmaker. If I'm Kyle Shanahan and I want to get my best playmakers on the field, I'm running 12 personnel and I'm running 20 personnel. If I want to get 4 receivers out there, and the reason I'm saying that is because Juszczyk's a better receiver than any of the wide receivers that the Niners have as a number 4 guy. Same thing with Ross Dwelly. He's better than any of those number 4 wide receivers. And the
even McKinnon, Jeff Wilson Jr.
Right. And the thing that the Niners get out of staying in 21-12 is that they keep the running game on the field.
Keep them in base defense. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes. You have a speed advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Trent.
Why you can't you check so much money if you're not going to throw him the ball more often?
You called him an offensive weapon. You use him as a blocker. But I want to stay on Trent Taylor here because honestly, his presence on this team offends me. I don't understand it. And it's like, give Jauan Jennings a chance, but it doesn't have to be a wide receiver who replaces him. I'm with Jack. You don't need to go to 11 personnel. I prefer Ross Dwelly as a receiver than Trent Taylor. And why is Trent Taylor continually getting targets in the red zone? Why? Give it to Ross Dwelly. Give it to anyone else. Kyle Juszczyk. I don't get – look, here's the thing with Trent Taylor. I thought he played well as a rookie. He got hurt in 2018, hurt his back. That was a serious injury. All right. And then he comes back 2019. He gets rave reviews at camp. But I was there. Let's remember, K'Wan Williams didn't play in camp in 2019. The nickelback was mostly DJ Reed and Emmanuel Mosley, a couple of quality players, but that's who he was going against. And then he broke his foot. Okay. Now he comes back and plays camp all offseason against Jamar Taylor. No offense, Leo, but he ain't K'Wan Williams. The guy missed the entire camp. And so I think when all these fans are like, well, but he played well in camp the last 2 years. I mean, all these writers said it like, yeah, but sometimes even me, like, we don't give you the full context. And in retrospect, we're like, well, maybe it was really Jamar Taylor that we were learning about and not Trent Taylor, because we see Trent Taylor. The guy does one thing. He runs a 7-yard out, except he runs it like at 5 yards, and he has no shake anymore. Whatever he had in 2017 is gone. He's a 5'7", 170-pound athlete who's had some serious surgeries. And I think he's done. I think he's done as a professional athlete. And I'd like to see someone who has a future get a chance. I know it sounds harsh, but that's professional sports, dude. Sorry.
And I'll say this. I guarantee Shanahan wish he had Jauan Jennings in that Philadelphia Eagles game when they had to throw that Hail Mary, because guess what? Jennings got one in Tennessee to beat Georgia at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Trent Taylor's not getting that. Trent Taylor wasn't even on the field for that.
That's true. Wasn't that like 4 years ago?
What is he like? Yeah, we're not trying to be Trent Taylor haters.
No,
we're just
I am.
Being honest.
I am a Trent Taylor hater. Trent,
okay,
you suck.
You're a Trent Taylor hater.
I'm sorry. Stop. Get him off the field right now. I'm serious. There's too much at stake. There's too much at stake. It's a must-win game. Get him off the field.
Yep.
Sorry. All right.
You have 3 guys on the roster also where their best trait is punt returner, where Dante Pettis, Trent Taylor, and Richie James as returners.
Yeah, let's stick with that because Trent Taylor, his role is the punt returner on the team. He's a fair catch machine. What does he do? He's not a playmaker at any. I get worked up. I feel like I've had the wool over my eyes. I've been making fun of Dante Pettis when really it should be Trent Taylor. That guy deserves.
I'll say Dante Pettis' best attributes actually route running, not punt returning.
Yeah, sure. All right. What's the key to the game for Kyle Shanahan? What does he need to do? Jack's talked about this a little bit. Do you want to start, Jack?
I'm not sure exactly what it is that I've said, but
yeah,
but I think really what he needs to do is he needs to be able to get the ball out quick.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing but he's got to be able to get the ball out quick down the field. So, think a little bit towards, back in the day when Harbaugh was here, I used to say all the time when against the Seahawks, the key to beating the Seahawks defense was the quick underneath patterns to like Kittle. Those little short 5-yard patterns, you got to work your way down the field.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what we need to see. Because if you watch the game against Miami, there were a lot of routes in there that were open. And then that's where they're going to have to work the ball. He's also got to stick to the run, though. He's got to keep forcing that run. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game all around, and I think he really needs to just understand that and stay within himself and within what he normally would do.
That's a good answer. I do agree it's going to be a low-scoring game. What's up, Maverick? What do you got?
Shanahan has to get his bigger guys involved. Juszczyk is a matchup problem. Kittle, Dwelly. The Patriots play 7 DBs. A lot of the times they had 7 with over 25 snaps last week against Denver. I know Denver's a little bit different of an offense, and they can throw it deep, unlike the 49ers. But those under routes get Juszczyk involved, get Kittle involved. That's what they can do to get to 17 to 24 points, and I think that wins the game.
I'm going to use more of a mental aspect, and it's going to be, I think I did the same thing last week, and I'm going to do it again this week. It's to not try to outsmart Belichick. Because Shanahan has a bag full of genius-like plays. If you try to outsmart Belichick, that's where it could get this 49ers play calling in a hole, to where it's like, oh, Belichick's going to expect this, so I'm going to bring this. But Belichick's always that coach that's a move ahead. So you never want to try to get in that game with Bill Belichick's, and just stick with what works, like you're saying, the underneath. Still run the Debo, little pitch pass, get Jimmy in rhythm, because he's an in-rhythm player. Don't try to be like, oh, Belichick expects everything 5 yards or under or 10 yards and under, so try to hit some deep shots, because with Jimmy Garoppolo, that's just really not going to work out, because this is a good Patriots secondary at the end of the day.
You know, I'm going to disagree with you, Leo, and I liked your answer very much, but I'm going to disagree with you here. To me, what the reason that Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay both lost Super Bowls to Belichick is that what Belichick is so great at, better than Kyle and Sean McVay, is adjusting mid-game. So Belichick will have a game plan and what he thinks he needs to do to beat you, and then he'll get in the game and he'll see what in his game plan worked, what in his game plan didn't, and he, better than anyone maybe of all time, can adjust and get to a plan B by halftime. And he did it against the Falcons. He did it against the Rams. And what we saw was Kyle and Sean McVay didn't have a plan B of their own. Those two weren't able to adjust on the fly the way Belichick did, the way Josh McDaniels did against the Rams in the fourth quarter. So now Kyle Shanahan gets another chance to go against Belichick. He knows what Belichick's going to do. He knows no matter how good his game plan is, Belichick's going to have it pretty much duped out by the third quarter. So I think what would show growth for Kyle is to have a plan B of his own, to come in with a game plan and to be able to adjust off of Bill Belichick's adjustments, because I think that's what you have to do to beat him. If you can't adjust mid-game, you're going up against the best coach of all time, who is always going to have a mid-game adjustment. You really need to have, at that point, an overwhelming talent advantage, and I don't think the Niners do. I think this is a very even matchup talent-wise. So I want to see, Kyle, I know you're a brilliant game planner, so is Sean McVay. Let's see you adjust mid-game. Because if you go back and remember the Super Bowl, his run game was working until halftime. And then it did not work in the second half, and he had nothing to go to, and it was downhill from there. So, Leo, I know you're just seething right now because I disagreed with you. But I just want to say I liked your answer, and you led me to my answer, which was better. So thank you.
One of the things I'm going to say really quick.
You could tip me. It's cool.
What?
One thing I'm going to throw out there really quick is, they haven't played against each other a lot. They haven't faced each other a lot in Shanahan and Belichick. But as you watch their games, Shanahan's done worse in all three of the matchups. His first game in Houston, 34 points. The next time he played him, I think, was when they were in Washington, 27. The Super Bowl, he was down to 21. So
what does that tell you?
It's, he's figuring them out a little bit. My question that I asked today, and I'll ask you guys real quick, what's making the 49ers, is the 49ers offense better today than they were when they played Miami?
Yeah, yes, in the sense that Jimmy Garoppolo should be a little healthier. No, in the sense that they don't have Mostert. So no.
Better because they will run the ball, though. Hopefully.
No, Mostert's a tough blow. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Jack?
I'm gonna say yes, because I think Debo's more healthy. Every game that Ayuk plays, he's gonna be better. Mostert's injury is going to be huge, but I believe Hasty is a hell of a player, even though I stated in my article the distance between Mostert and the next 49ers running back is the distance from the earth
That was
and
a
the
good
moon.
line. That was a good line.
I thought you would like that.
I like that line.
So I understand the distance is huge on that, but I think Hasty got some juice. So I would say they're probably better because Jimmy Garoppolo's an in-rhythm player, and he just got done playing 4 quarters games rather than missing the past 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. So what is the key for Robert Saleh in this game?
Containing Cam Newton. I know, every offense coordinator knows that this is a all gas, no brakes defense. So they send that defensive end to crash the running back every time, and they want the linebacker to be assigned to the quarterback. So if he pulls it out, well, the easy thing to do is just have your tackle block down on Drake Greenlaw, and now Cam Newton's going to have 6 yards every time. And they're a quarterback that can run a read option play and run it very successful. The last time they played a team that ran the ball with their quarterback more than their running back was Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson. And when that happened, Lamar ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown and took a ton of time off the clock, which is essentially the 49ers DNA to winning a game. So you got to contain Cam Newton. You got to figure out something with defensive end and linebacker, because now teams have figured that out, and Cam Newton certainly can run the ball more than the running back in this game.
Yep.
Another key I touched on a little bit earlier is James White, just the swing passes and the screen passes. He's second on the team in receptions. He's fourth in receiving yards. He's played 2 less games. He's a big part of their offense. He has 157 yards after the catch, and I think only 133 receiving yards overall. So he gets the ball behind the line of scrimmage a lot. There's blockers in front of him. Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, if Jaquiski Tartt's able to go, if not, Marcel Harris and Jimmy Ward, they gotta keep him in the middle of the field. They can't let him get to the sideline, because him on Jason Verrett, him on Akella Witherspoon, Emmanuel Mosley is an easy first down, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I think he really needs to just not panic. He needs to force Newton to beat him. And when I say not panic, I mean they're going to make some plays here and there. There's going to be some busts. The Niners struggle at times against the screens and some of those kind of things, especially with a guy like White. They're going to have a little bit of issues with that. But make them drive the ball down the field on you. Don't let them get anything quick. And I think if you do that, you're going to hold them to full field goals more often than touchdowns.
I think it's imperative for Saleh to show the Niners the real Patriots. They haven't been together that long. Cam Newton's been out. They have to be prepared for the run game that they're going to see. It wasn't the same run game with Brian Hoyer at quarterback, and I think the Patriots are going to want to run the ball even more than the Niners in this game, and they may be able to because the Niners don't have Mostert. What the Patriots can do is, it's all about Cam Newton, but Sony Michel's averaging 6.7 yards per carry. Damian Harris is good. Rex Burkhead is good. They have like 4 different guys who could run the ball 10, 15 times in this game if necessary, and they're all explosive. So if the Niners aren't extremely dialed in to stop arguably the most diverse run game in the NFL, either New England's or Baltimore's, they're going to lose. They have to have an entire defense built to stop this. And I'm encouraged that they will, because they had it when they went against Baltimore. If you remember that game, they did not do the wide 9. They had 5 guys on the line, and it was a whole different thing. They need to dust that out and play that defense against this team, or else they're just going to give up 200 yards on the ground, and the Patriots are going to own time of possession. The Niners are going to lose. So obviously they got to keep Cam Newton in the pocket, make him be a quarterback. But if they don't stop the run, they won't even get to that portion of the mission statement. So that's what I'm going with. What's the key to the game for Jimmy Garoppolo? Jack.
He's got to get the ball out. Garoppolo struggles if he doesn't get the ball out when he hits his last step. You see it. Right. There was a tweet that came out today from PFF. It followed another one that I had sent out, where it shows that he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league if he holds onto the ball past 2.5 seconds. His rating drops down to, I think, 53. So if he's not able to get the ball out quick, it's going to be a long day for the 49ers.
Good answer, Jack.
I'd say Jimmy has to hold on to the ball. I was touching on earlier, the Patriots create a lot of fumbles on their speed rushes, but not hold on to the ball. I mean, 2.5.
I was like, oh, you're really going after Jack here. Okay.
Sorry. I meant like, do not turn the ball over.
Don't fumble.
Yeah, don't fumble. Don't turn the ball over. Drew Lock almost lost the game for the Broncos last week by throwing 2 really bad picks against the Patriots. They will create turnovers. They have a lot of good defensive backs. I think short passes close to the line of scrimmage is what they're going to do with Garoppolo. And I think as long as he doesn't have any Kittle overthrows, I think he should be fine for what the game plan is going to be.
Don't panic. That's what it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo, because what I noticed, especially in that Miami game, which they're going to play similar defense, he looks at his target, which say George Kittle. They use cover one with as well as a zone with the linebacker over there. Instead of waiting for that zone to open, he just looked off Kittle, went to the next guy, and he just looked off people way too fast and didn't understand when the zone was going to open up for him. So he cannot panic and anticipate that throwing window. Don't move off your receivers too fast. And I think mentally he'll be okay, because he's going to go back to New England where everything was all good. He was on top of the world, just being Tom Brady's backup, winning Super Bowls. He's going to have some of that Boston food. And he's played against this defense plenty of times. So it's just, don't panic, be free, and hit the throw in that throwing window.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that hard for him to read the defense. I think he knows what he's going to see. He's going to see press man coverage with double coverage on George Kittle, which is going to be it's disrespect. I mean, they say they like Jimmy Garoppolo, but that's the book on Jimmy Garoppolo. Get in his wide receivers' faces, make him hold the ball, make him get to his second read, and you win. So with Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, it's not like he's going to have to decipher, is it quarters, is it cover two? I think he's going to see a lot of man coverage, and what he needs to do is, before the snap, find the matchup that works. And I don't think it's going to – we've talked about this. I don't think it's going to be his wide receivers. I mean, it might be Kendrick Bourne, although it might not be. Who's the number 3 corner on the Patriots? J.C. Jackson? He's good.
I think Jones goes in the slot a little more.
Okay. But they still have 3 good corners. So he needs to be able to accurately spot his matchups pre-snap. And if it's Bourne, great. If it's Ayuk, great. It's not going to be Ayuk. It's not going to be Debo. It's going to be Juszczyk. It's going to be Trent Taylor. Kidding. It's going to be Dwelly. It's going to be McKinnon. It's going to be Wilson. He needs to spread the ball around and get the ball to people who have actual matchup advantages, because not many people on this offense do in this game. So he needs to be really judicious pre-snap and not like lean on his security blankets. Like, I'm going to Kittle. No, can't do that. You can go to Kittle a few times, but if you force it to him, you're going to lose.
Right. And I guess what I was saying on when he was playing his best football, he was throwing guys open last year. Say when they had Emmanuel Sanders against the Arizona. The main thing is once Emmanuel Sanders broke off that route to the outside, the ball was already in his lap. So he was throwing guys open. And then when he wasn't on, he wasn't throwing guys open. He was looking off them, as similar to George Kittle in the Super Bowl. He was wide open if he just understands, hey, Kittle's got one-on-one here. I throw the ball here. That's a first down all game. But he didn't do that. He just looked him off real quick, went to the next guy. I guess that's what I'm alluding to here. And that's where you saw a bad Jimmy this year, is when Garoppolo was just looking off Kittle way too fast.
It's going to be tough for him. He's going to see what he saw against Miami. Let's see if he's improved from it. He seems like the kind of guy who does improve from bad experiences. Finally, pick a winner in this game. Leo, you start.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the 49ers. What is this, like 25 weeks in a row? I'm going with this one. But okay. I think the main thing is just the mentality of Jimmy Garoppolo going back to Boston. He's going to be fresh mentally, coming off a win in a division opponent. And he knows Belichick's defense pretty well from seeing them in the practice for so many years. And this team, like, who's not going to be motivated to go out and want Jimmy Garoppolo to beat Bill Belichick?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot at stake for him. Maverick.
I'm going to go with the 49ers. Like Jack was saying earlier, I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in this game, but I think they can win this game by just controlling the ball. That's a big if, because obviously the Patriots are going to try and control the ball. But I'm just going to go with the Niners because I think they'll convert on their chances inside the Patriots side of the field, unlike the Broncos where they had 6 field goals last week. The Patriots were a little leaky, but they stood strong. If the 49ers can take advantage of red zone opportunities, they can put up 24 points and win.
24 sounds reasonable. That sounds pretty reasonable. Jack.
I'm going with New England on this one. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, guys, though. The one thing is the Niners have screwed me pretty much the last 4 weeks when it comes to our pick 'em. Whether I pick them to win, they lose. When I pick them to lose, they win. But no, really, in this one, I don't see the 49ers scoring 20 points. Their defense is going to have to hold New England under 17. Look, New England's defense held Patrick Mahomes to 26.
Yep.
And that the offense is a hell of a lot better than the 49ers offense. And especially this year. So I think it's going to be a good game. I hope it's a good game. 20-17, something like that is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. See, what Jack is saying is so right on. Like, what the Niners did on offense against the Rams isn't going to be good enough. What Belichick's going to do, he's going to put that 6-1 front up where you pack the line and have the two overhang guys, and it's just really hard to run pop passes, jet sweeps, end arounds. They're pretty much in position to stop that. Also, it's tough to run any type of runs against that front. It's really tough. They're really daring you to pass. And what we're seeing with Jimmy Garoppolo is he's like building back up his confidence. It's not just his ankle, it's his whole confidence. And it's like he can complete the shovel pass. Now he can complete the screen pass. Now he can complete the 5-yard pass over the middle. Like, they're gradually building him back up. It's like he's learning to walk again. But is he going to be sprinting 20 miles an hour, metaphorically speaking, in this game? No, I don't think so. And if they ask him to, they're going to lose. So they have to find a way to increase what he's doing without asking him to be John Elway. Right.
I should elaborate more. I see this being similar to the Ravens matchup last season, where the quarterback essentially has more opportunity to run the ball than he does pass it. That's what I see this game as, to where the winning formula is to have a great running attack, control time of possession, just end the game with the victory. And with Lamar Jackson, he was on fire. He was the MVP. Where Cam Newton's not on fire, he's nowhere near being the MVP, as well as the offensive weapons on New England suck compared to what Lamar Jackson has in Baltimore. And I think that's why the 49ers could come out of this with maybe like a 16-12 victory.
Good point. And to Jack's point, you said 2017. Wasn't the Niners lost to the Ravens last year, 2017?
Yeah,
it was.
They lost 2017, and the final play was so. Hey, that's a good. I would actually go 20-17 Niners, but I don't feel particularly confident about it, and I do think that this is a very tough matchup for them. And I'm with Jack. I think that the Niners defense. If the Niners are going to win this game, they're going to win it because of their defense. And I think I'm just a little more bullish on the Niners defense than most people, and I'm not sure why, but I do feel like they've shown they can stop a Wildcat offense. And this is kind of a Wildcat offense with so many quarterback-driven runs. They did a pretty good job against it last year with Baltimore. They've faced it before. It's not totally foreign to them. And the passing game of New England is I don't like the weapons. I don't like the accuracy of the quarterback. It's a fairly one-dimensional offense. Now, the run game, they literally do everything imaginable. But their passing game, I think the Pats are going to have a lot of trouble scoring. I think the Niners defense is way better than the defense they faced against Seattle or whatever they've been going against the last few weeks. I think the Niners defense is going to win this game, and the Niners will win 20-17. But yeah, I think all four of us expect a lowish scoring game with Maverick as the lone guy who's like 24, which is like 24.
A pick six, maybe. That's how they get over it.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
And this one for me, real quick, just one other thing too. And I should have looked this up before we talked, but I really don't like the fact that we're going up against Belichick. I've watched the 49ers a lot longer than everybody else just because I'm the oldest dude around. But, I've watched him decimate the 49ers with Joe Montana at quarterback. I saw him hold the three-peat 49ers back to only 13 points in the NFC Championship game, 7 points in the Monday night game when luckily the Niners pulled that out. Go back through the history of Belichick against the 49ers, and he's kicked their ass.
Yeah.
And so that's really that's where I put a lot of it. But I agree with all you guys. I think that if the Niners are going to win, it's because it's going to be a low-scoring game. And Grant, you like the 49ers defense because they're good.
Yeah,
they really
that's
are.
right.
Yeah.
They're well coached and they're good. The thing about Belichick, I think he hasn't lost 3 games in a row since 2002. So picking the Niners, you must really have some confidence in the Niners to pick them. And Jack, that's a more than reasonable prediction to pick the Pats. I mean, they're desperate and they win when they're desperate. It's just that they don't have Tom Brady anymore. So we'll see what they got.
Well, the 49ers quarterback who had a ton of success against Belichick was Colin Kaepernick.
That's the only guy.
I was at that game. It's true. That was the best I think I've ever seen him play. That was an amazing game. Yeah. All right, guys. Let's go start. Is it Thursday? I keep thinking it's Friday. Okay, don't start your weekend. Go do what you got to do. Do the laundry, do the dishes. Don't just get drunk. We'll do that tomorrow. All right, guys?
The best ever Thursday night football matchup tonight.
Who's playing?
Eagles, Giants.
Oh, it's the classic matchup. Two juggernauts that are going to meet deep in the playoffs this year. We got to watch it. It's the old classic matchup. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on Twitter as we're all watching some classic NFL football. Take care.